Marcus Reed had survived the kind of accident doctors called life-changing. 8 months later, the woman who would change his life again arrived 3 minutes late and dropped an apple under his wheelchair. 8:03 a.m. The Reed mansion had learned how to whisper. Staff lowered their voices in the hallways. Doors closed softly. Shoes seemed to avoid making sound against the black marble floors. Before the accident, Marcus Reed had commanded rooms. Now everyone behaved as if noise itself might break him. He hated it. Marcus sat near the enormous living room windows, broad shoulders squared beneath a charcoal shirt, one hand resting against the wheel of his chair. Morning rain blurred Chicago beyond the glass. His expression was controlled. His patience was not. 3 minutes, he said. Daniel, his house manager, checked his watch. She may have encountered traffic. She encountered unemployment. Then the front door flew open. Please tell me I'm not late. A woman rushed inside carrying an oversized canvas tote, a medical folder, a paper coffee cup, and enough nervous energy to disturb 8 months of silence. Tiana Brooks, 29, dark brown skin, natural curls gathered loosely behind her head, bright yellow sneakers beneath otherwise professional clothes. Daniel stared. Marcus did not blink. You're late. Tiana checked her phone. 3 minutes. I'm aware. Good. I was worried we had different time zones. Daniel looked horrified. Marcus's eyes narrowed. Then Tiana's tote bag split open. Everything hit the marble. Notebook, pens, hand sanitizer, 2 apples, paperback novel, 1 purple sock, and, inexplicably, a sneaker. 1 apple rolled across the floor, straight toward Marcus. It bumped gently against the front wheel of his chair. Silence. Tiana stared at it. Then at Marcus. Please tell me that wasn't my interview. It was. A beat. You failed. Tiana nodded. Great. Marcus frowned. Great. Now we can stop pretending this is a job interview. Daniel inhaled sharply. Marcus studied her. 6 caregivers had entered this mansion before Tiana. Some spoke to him too softly. Some touched his wheelchair without permission. One asked Daniel what Marcus wanted for lunch while Marcus was sitting directly beside her. Another called him inspiring after watching him cross a room. None lasted. Marcus pointed toward the scattered objects. You have 30 seconds to convince me not to fire you. Tiana crouched and began collecting them. 29 more than my last boss gave me. 25. Does arguing count against my time? 20. She tossed the purple sock into her bag. I'm certified. 7 years of home care experience. Medication management, mobility assistance, transfer support, scheduling, basic meal preparation. 10. I don't scare easily. 5. Tiana picked up the apple beside his wheel. Then she looked directly into his eyes. And I don't feel sorry for you. Marcus froze. Daniel looked at the floor. The room changed. People avoided saying things like that to Marcus now. They offered encouragement, sympathy, carefully manufactured optimism. Tiana simply stood there holding an apple. Marcus's voice lowered. You think that helps your case? I think you've probably heard enough people tell you how brave you are. His jaw tightened. You know nothing about me. Correct. She placed the apple on a side table. That's why I'm not going to pretend I do. Marcus stared at her. Time's up. Tiana lifted her tote. Okay. She turned toward the door. Marcus blinked. That was not the response he expected. You're leaving. Tiana looked back. You fired me. You were supposed to convince me otherwise. I gave you my qualifications. And you still look like you want me gone. Marcus said nothing. Tiana shrugged. You're allowed to. Allowed. The word irritated him, or perhaps surprised him. For 8 months, everyone had been deciding what Marcus needed, what he could manage, when he should rest, how much help he should accept. This chaotic stranger had been inside his house less than 5 minutes and had somehow handed the decision back to him. Marcus looked toward Daniel. Leave us. Daniel hesitated. Sir, I said leave. Daniel disappeared into the hallway. Tiana remained by the door. Marcus turned his wheelchair slightly toward her. One rule. Only one. Don't touch my chair without asking. Tiana glanced at the wheelchair, then back at him. Easy. Marcus expected questions. Why? What if there's an emergency? What if you need help? Instead, she simply nodded. Your chair. Your call. Something moved behind Marcus's expression. Small. Almost invisible. When can you start? Tiana looked at her phone. Technically, yes. 8 o'clock. Marcus stared. She smiled. So I'm already behind. For half a second, something dangerously close to amusement touched his face. Tiana noticed. She was smart enough not to mention it. Instead, she lifted the surviving apple. Breakfast. No coffee. No sunlight. Marcus glanced toward the gray windows. That isn't something you serve. Good. You're paying attention. Marcus exhaled slowly. This woman was going to be unbearable. Tiana walked toward the kitchen, then stopped. She turned. You coming? Marcus's expression hardened. I don't need you to push me. I didn't offer. Silence. Tiana nodded toward the hallway. I asked if you were coming. Then she walked away. Marcus remained by the window. For 8 months, people had seen the chair first and Marcus second. Tiana Brooks had entered his mansion late, dropped half her life across his floor, argued with him, accepted being fired, and walked toward his kitchen without once looking at him like something tragic had happened to the man inside that chair. Marcus placed both hands on his wheels, then followed her. Neither of them understood it yet. But the first thing Tiana would give Marcus Reed was not assistance. It was something 6 caregivers, an entire household, and even Marcus himself had slowly forgotten belonged to him. Choice. Marcus Reed did not hate needing help. He hated the moment people decided needing help meant he was no longer capable of deciding anything for himself. 8 months earlier, rain had been falling that night too. Marcus remembered headlights, wet pavement, the violent turn of the car, then darkness. When he woke in the hospital, everything above his waist still obeyed him. Everything below did not. Doctors used careful language. Spinal injury, neurological damage, long-term mobility impairment, rehabilitation, uncertain recovery. Marcus listened without blinking. He asked practical questions. What can I still do? The physician hesitated. That depends on. What can I do now? That question became Marcus's obsession. Not what he had lost. What remained his mind, his hands, his business, his decisions, his life. But when Marcus returned home, everyone around him seemed to have learned a different lesson. The mansion changed first. Rugs disappeared because someone decided they were dangerous. Furniture moved without anyone asking him. A ramp appeared at the side entrance. That one Marcus appreciated. The fact nobody discussed it with him first, he did not. Then came the smaller things. A staff member opened every door before Marcus reached it. Someone moved his coffee closer when he had deliberately placed it farther away. Visitors lowered their voices. People stopped arguing with him. That was somehow worst of all. Marcus Reed had spent 20 years surrounded by men willing to challenge him when millions were at stake. Now nobody would disagree about breakfast. His first caregiver lasted 4 days. She touched his wheelchair constantly, turning him, repositioning him, moving him away from tables, always without asking. On the 5th morning, Marcus locked both wheels. Don't touch my chair. I'm only helping. I didn't ask. She smiled with unbearable patience. You have to let people help you, Mr. Reed. Marcus fired her before lunch. The second caregiver lasted 11 days. The third spoke to Daniel instead of Marcus. What time does he usually eat? Marcus had been sitting 6 feet away. He, Marcus said coldly, usually eats whenever he decides he's hungry. She resigned 2 days later. Number 4 called him inspirational. Marcus had rolled himself from the study to the dining room. Nothing more. You're such an inspiration, she said. Marcus stared at her. For crossing my own house? She did not understand the question. Number 5 lasted 3 weeks. Number 6 lasted 6 hours. By then, Daniel had stopped pretending the problem was the caregivers. "You're impossible," he told Marcus one evening. Marcus sat behind his study desk. "Then, stop hiring people. You need assistance. I need people to stop treating me like I disappeared in that accident." Daniel went silent. Marcus looked toward the dark windows. His reflection stared back. Same face, same shoulders, same eyes, different chair. Yet somehow the world had decided the chair was the most important thing about him. The next morning, Daniel placed another resume on his desk. Tiana Brooks, 7 years of home care experience. Excellent references. Marcus barely looked. "No, she starts Monday." "I said no. I heard you." Marcus looked up sharply. Daniel almost smiled. For once, someone was arguing with him. Marcus hated how much he appreciated it. Monday came. 8:03 a.m. Tiana Brooks arrived 3 minutes late and spilled half her bag across his marble floor. By 8:08, Marcus had tried to fire her. By 8:10, she was walking toward his kitchen. Now, 2 hours later, Marcus sat at the dining table while Tiana searched through cabinets. "You organize everything alphabetically?" she called. "No." "Then whoever organized these spices needs counseling." Marcus ignored her. Tiana emerged carrying coffee. She placed her own mug down, then looked at Marcus's cup sitting several feet away. She noticed immediately that it was beyond his comfortable reach. Marcus noticed her noticing. He said nothing. Neither did she. 30 seconds passed. Marcus looked at the cup, then at Tiana. She was writing in her notebook. "You see my coffee?" "Yes." "Aren't you supposed to help me?" Tiana looked up. "Do you want help?" Marcus stared. It was such a simple question that it irritated him. "You can see I can't reach it." "I can. And you still haven't answered." Silence. Marcus leaned back. The previous caregivers would already have moved it. Tiana waited. No pity. No impatient smile. No assumption. "Move it closer." "Sure." She slid the cup within reach. Nothing dramatic happened. No swelling music. No miraculous breakthrough. Just coffee moving 12 inches across a table. But Marcus looked at the cup differently. Tiana returned to her notebook. After a moment, he asked, "You're going to make me ask every time?" "When you can." "That sounds inefficient." "It probably is." Marcus frowned. Tiana shrugged. "Your body changed, Mr. Reed." Her voice softened, but not with pity. "Your right to decide what happens to it didn't." The room went still. Marcus said nothing. Tiana resumed writing as though she had not just put into one sentence what 6 caregivers, countless visitors, and an entire household had failed to understand. A few minutes later, she stood. "Physical therapy at 11. I'm not going." "Okay." Marcus looked up suspiciously. "Okay. You said you're not going. You're not going to argue?" "Not yet." Tiana picked up her mug. "When will you?" She smiled. 11. Then she walked away. Marcus watched her disappear into the hallway. For 8 months, everyone had been trying to help Marcus Reed recover pieces of his old life. Tiana Brooks was the first person who seemed to understand that before he could rebuild anything, someone had to stop taking pieces of his independence away. And at 11 o'clock, when she returned wearing those ridiculous yellow sneakers and carrying absolutely no sympathy in her eyes, Marcus would discover something even more dangerous. Tiana Brooks was willing to respect his choices. She was also completely unafraid to challenge them. By noon, Marcus Reed had discovered the most irritating thing about Tiana Brooks. She respected every decision he made, and refused to let him hide behind any of them. 10:59 a.m. Marcus sat in his study, reading the same page for the 3rd time. At exactly 11, Tiana appeared in the doorway. Yellow sneakers, loose curls, clipboard under one arm. "Physical therapy." "No, excellent." Marcus looked up. Tiana checked something on her clipboard. "What are you writing?" "Patient declined scheduled therapy." "I'm not your patient." She crossed out a word. Difficult employer declined scheduled therapy. Marcus narrowed his eyes. You think you're funny. My mother does. Tiana turned away. Marcus frowned. That's it. She looked back. You said no. You're not going to convince me? No, why? Because you're 41, not 4. Silence. Tiana continued down the hallway. Marcus stared after her. 5 minutes later, he rolled into the therapy room. Tiana was arranging resistance bands. She glanced up. Oh, look who made an independent decision. Say another word and I'm leaving. She mimed, locking her lips. Marcus almost smiled. Almost. The physical therapist arrived minutes later. For 45 minutes Marcus worked without complaint. His arms trembled. Sweat darkened his shirt. Every movement demanded concentration. Tiana remained nearby, not hovering, not cheering, not telling him he was brave. When Marcus completed the final exercise, the therapist smiled. Excellent work. Marcus nodded. Tiana handed him a towel. Want it? He looked at her. You're seriously asking? Your rule. Marcus took it. Yes. That afternoon, the pattern continued. Tiana never pushed his wheelchair without permission. Never moved objects because she assumed he could not reach them. Never spoke about Marcus as if he were absent. And whenever someone else did, she noticed. At lunch, Daniel entered carrying documents. The contractor wants to know whether he should install another handrail near the west terrace. Daniel looked at Tiana. Do you think he needs one? Tiana stared at him, then slowly turned toward Marcus. Marcus raised an eyebrow. Tiana pointed at him. Pretty sure the owner of the house is right there. Daniel stopped. Marcus's expression remained controlled, but something warm flickered behind his eyes. Daniel cleared his throat. Marcus. No handrail. Tiana said nothing. Daniel nodded and left. Marcus looked at her. You could have answered. It's not my terrace. You're supposed to advise me. When you ask. Marcus leaned back. You enjoy making everything difficult. No, she took a bite of her sandwich. I enjoy making sure difficult men don't confuse assistance with permission. Marcus stared. Careful. Was that threatening? It was advice. Then thank you. She returned to eating. Marcus had no idea what to do with her. That evening provided another test. A folder slipped from Marcus's lap as he crossed the library. Papers scattered across the floor. Tiana was nearby. She looked at them, then at him. She did not move. Marcus waited. Nothing. You're just going to stand there. Currently, yes. There are papers everywhere. I noticed. Marcus's irritation sharpened. A caregiver normally helps with things like this. Tiana's expression changed. Not mocking now. Gentle. Do you want help? Marcus looked down. Several pages were within reach. Others were not. He could collect some himself. Not all. Before Tiana, someone would already have rushed forward. The choice would have disappeared before Marcus could make it. He reached down and picked up the first page. Then another. Tiana waited. Marcus gathered what he could. Finally, he looked at the remaining papers. Yes. One word. Tiana immediately crouched. No celebration. No patronizing smile. She simply collected the pages beyond his reach and placed them neatly on his lap. There. Marcus looked at her. You knew I couldn't get all of them. Yes. Why make me ask? I didn't make you do anything. Tiana stood. I waited for you to decide what you wanted from me. Marcus went quiet. Tiana adjusted the strap of her bag. People see a wheelchair and start solving problems nobody asked them to solve. Her voice softened. I'm here to help you live your life, Mr. Reed, not take it over. The library fell silent. Marcus looked down at the papers. 8 months of doors opened too early. Food cut without permission. Conversations redirected around him. People touching his chair. People praising ordinary movements. All of it had been called kindness, and somehow all of it had made him feel smaller. Tiana headed toward the doorway. Tiana. She stopped. Marcus rarely used her first name. Yes. He hesitated. Tomorrow. What about it? Physical therapy. She waited. 11. A smile slowly appeared. I'll put it on the schedule. Don't look so pleased. I naturally look radiant. Marcus shook his head. Tiana walked away. He watched the yellow sneakers disappear around the corner. For the first time since the accident, Marcus had asked for help and had not felt diminished afterward. That realization followed him into the quiet evening. But another followed close behind. Tiana Brooks was not simply changing how Marcus received help. She was changing how he saw himself. And neither of them yet understood why she seemed to know exactly where assistance ended and dignity began. By the end of Tiana Brooks's first week, the Reed mansion had developed a problem nobody knew how to report. Marcus Reed was laughing again. It started with the curtains. For 8 months, the heavy drapes in Marcus's breakfast room had remained mostly closed. At 7:14 Monday morning, Tiana opened them. Sunlight flooded the room. Marcus stopped his wheelchair. Close those. Tiana turned. Too bright. Yes. She closed one curtain. Marcus stared. The other one. You said those. I compromised. Tiana. Marcus. Silence. Daniel nearly dropped the folder in his hands. Nobody called him Marcus during working hours. Tiana looked at Daniel. What? Daniel disappeared before becoming involved. Marcus pointed toward the remaining curtain. Close it. Tiana did. Immediately. No argument. Marcus frowned. You're confusing. I prefer versatile. Tuesday brought music. Soft soul played from a speaker in the kitchen while Tiana prepared breakfast. Marcus entered. What is that? Music. I know what music is. Excellent progress. Turn it off. Tiana reached toward the speaker. Marcus paused. Lower. She smiled. Look at us negotiating. Don't ruin it. By Wednesday, Marcus discovered she owned 7 pairs of brightly colored sneakers. Yellow, red, blue, green. One pair looked like someone had attacked them with pink paint. Marcus stared. Those should be illegal. Tiana looked down. Your Majesty disapproves? Marcus's eyes narrowed. Never call me that. Yes, Your Majesty. The housekeeper turned away to hide a smile. Something was happening inside the mansion. Staff began lingering near the kitchen. Not because they were avoiding work. Because the kitchen had become the only room where Marcus sounded like himself again. Not the careful version. Not the wounded man everyone tiptoed around. Marcus. Sharp. Demanding. Dryly funny when he forgot not to be. Thursday afternoon, Tiana found him beside the garden doors. He stared through the glass. The terrace beyond had not been used since his accident. You want to go outside? No, Tiana nodded. Okay. She walked away. Marcus watched her. You're not going to argue? No, why? You said no. That hasn't stopped you before. Tiana turned. I challenge your excuses, not your choices. Marcus went quiet. Tiana continued down the hallway. 10 minutes later, wheels sounded behind her. She looked back. Marcus had followed. Open the door. She did. Cold air entered. Marcus rolled forward until the front wheels of his chair reached the threshold. Then stopped. The terrace was accessible. He knew that. The staff had spent thousands making sure of it. Still, something about crossing that line felt larger than concrete and steel. Tiana stood beside him. She did not push, did not encourage, did not say he could do it. Marcus looked at her. You're unusually quiet. I'm enjoying it. Enjoying what? Not being blamed for something. Marcus almost laughed. Then he pushed forward. The wheels crossed the threshold. Outside, winter sunlight touched his face. Marcus inhaled. The garden smelled of wet earth and cedar. For 8 months he had seen it through glass. Now he sat beneath open sky. Tiana stepped beside him. Cold? No, you're lying. Yes. She laughed. Marcus looked toward the trees. A bird landed on the stone fountain. Nothing extraordinary happened. And somehow everything felt extraordinary. Later that afternoon, Marcus's physical therapist noticed the difference. "You've been practicing." Marcus glanced toward Tiana. "She harasses me professionally. I motivate creatively. You hid my phone. For 4 minutes. During therapy. You survived." The therapist laughed. Marcus tried not to. Failed. The sound escaped suddenly. Deep. Brief. Real. The room stopped. Tiana froze. Daniel, passing the doorway, stopped too. Marcus noticed everyone staring. His expression hardened. "What?" Tiana recovered first. "Nothing." "Then stop looking at me." She turned back toward the resistance bands. But she was smiling. Marcus saw it. For reasons he could not explain, he did not mind. That evening, after most of the staff had gone, Marcus entered the kitchen. Tiana stood at the counter humming while writing notes. "You always make this much noise?" She looked up. "You always complain this much?" "Yes." "Then we both have hobbies." Marcus positioned himself beside the island. "What are you writing?" "Your schedule." "I have a schedule." "Your schedule says meetings, therapy, medication, sleep." "That's generally how schedules work." Tiana shook her head. "No garden. No music. No friends. Nothing you actually enjoy." Marcus's face changed. "You're here to manage care." "I know. Not my life." Tiana closed the notebook. "Exactly." Marcus looked at her. No joke this time. Tiana's expression had become strangely distant. For 1 second, the chaotic woman disappeared. Something older lived behind her eyes. Something learned through pain. Marcus noticed. "Why do you understand that?" Tiana went still. The question landed somewhere private. She looked away. "Understand what?" "The difference. Between helping someone live and trying to live for them." Silence. Tiana's fingers tightened around her pen. Then she forced a smile. "Maybe I'm just brilliant." Marcus did not smile back. He knew deflection when he heard it. But he did not push. Not yet. Tiana gathered her things. "Tomorrow. 11. Therapy." "Yes." Marcus nodded. As she walked toward the door, he watched her differently. All week, Tiana had been forcing light, noise, argument, and laughter back into a house that had forgotten them. Marcus had assumed chaos was simply who she was. Now he suspected something else. Tiana Brooks had learned exactly how to protect another person's dignity somewhere long before she entered his mansion. And whatever had taught her that lesson had hurt enough that she still wasn't ready to say its name. Marcus Reed had spent 8 months refusing to let anyone see him helpless. Then one quiet night, gravity took the decision away from him. 11:38 p.m. The mansion was almost dark. Rain tapped softly against the library windows while Marcus finished reviewing documents at his desk. Tiana had technically ended her shift 30 minutes earlier. Technically, Marcus could hear her in the kitchen. Cabinet doors. Running water. A song hummed badly enough that he knew exactly who was responsible. He looked toward the hallway, then back at his desk. His shoulders ached. He needed to transfer from his wheelchair to the low leather chair beside the fireplace. Normally, he would use the transfer board. Normally, someone would remain nearby. Tonight, the board was across the room. Marcus stared at it. He could call Tiana. He did not. Instead, he locked his wheels, positioned the chair, braced both hands, lifted. For 1 second, everything worked. Then his palm slipped. His balance shifted. Marcus hit the carpet hard. The sound was not loud, but in a silent mansion it was enough. Footsteps came immediately. "Marcus!" Tiana appeared in the doorway. She saw him on the floor. Marcus saw the exact instant her expression changed. Not pity, concern. That somehow made it worse. "Get out." Tiana stopped. "Are you hurt?" "I said get out." She remained where she was. Marcus's voice sharpened. "Did you hear me?" "Yes." "Then leave." Tiana looked at his wheelchair, then at him. She did not move closer. "Do you want privacy?" Marcus stared. "Or are you ashamed?" His face hardened. "Careful." "I am being careful." "Get out." If you want privacy, I'll go. Tiana lowered herself onto the carpet several feet away. But if you're telling me to leave because you think I'm looking at you differently, I'm staying long enough to tell you you're wrong. Marcus laughed once. There was no humor in it. You found me on the floor. Yes. Congratulations. For what? You finally get to see it. See what? Marcus looked toward his legs. This. The word came out bitter. Tiana said nothing. Marcus's jaw tightened. I used to walk into a room and everyone stood up. Silence. Men twice my size watched my hands before they watched my face. His voice lowered. I never needed anyone to open a door. Tiana remained seated. I never had to ask someone to move a cup 12 inches. His breathing became uneven. And now people look at me like getting through breakfast deserves applause. Tiana's expression softened. Marcus looked away. I hate this chair. Tiana glanced at it. No, you don't. His eyes snapped toward her. Excuse me? You hate what people decided the chair means. Marcus froze. Tiana rested her arms loosely across her knees. You hate being talked around, touched without permission, praised for existing. She paused. That's different. Marcus stared at her. How would you know? Something moved behind Tiana's eyes. Pain. Old pain. Gone almost immediately. Marcus noticed. But tonight he was too exhausted to chase it. I was somebody before this. Tiana's voice became quiet. You're still somebody. Don't. I'm not giving you a speech. Sounds like one. Then I'll keep it short. She met his eyes. You said everyone used to stand when you entered a room. Marcus said nothing. They still do. He frowned. Tiana continued. You're just sitting down long enough to finally notice why. The room went silent. Marcus looked at her. No sympathy. No inspirational smile. Just truth. For 8 months he had confused standing with strength. Independence with never asking. Control with never being seen struggling. Now he sat on the floor before the one woman who refused to pretend struggle erased dignity. Tiana waited. Finally, what do you need? Marcus looked toward the transfer board. Then his wheelchair. The answer should have been easy. Instead, his voice cracked. I don't know. 3 words. The most honest thing he had said since the accident. Tiana nodded. Okay. Marcus looked at her suspiciously. That's it. That's enough. She pointed toward the transfer board. We can figure out the next part together. If you want. There it was again. Choice. Marcus closed his eyes briefly, then opened them. Bring me the board. Tiana stood. She brought it. Nothing more. Now? Marcus explained what he needed. Where to place it. When to steady the chair. When not to touch him. Tiana followed every instruction. No panic. No unnecessary hands. No humiliation disguised as help. Minutes later, Marcus was safely back in his wheelchair. Sweat covered his forehead. Tiana handed him a towel. He accepted it without argument. Thank you. She went still. Marcus frowned. What? Nothing. You're smiling. You said thank you. I can take it back. Too late. Marcus shook his head. Tiana turned toward the door. Tiana. She stopped. How did you know? Know what? What this feels like. Her smile disappeared. For several seconds, neither spoke. Then Tiana looked toward the rain-darkened windows. My father used a wheelchair for 11 years. Marcus stared. She picked up her bag. Good night, Marcus. Tiana. Tomorrow. She left. Marcus remained alone. The fall had bruised his pride more deeply than his body. But the revelation followed him long after her footsteps disappeared. Tiana Brooks had not learned dignity from a textbook. She had learned it beside someone she loved. And whatever happened between her and her father had shaped every strange rule she brought into Marcus Reed's mansion. Tomorrow, Marcus intended to learn why. The next morning, Marcus Reed expected Tiana Brooks to explain why she understood his anger so well. What he did not expect was to discover that her strangest rules had once been learned through regret. 9:26 a.m. Marcus found Tiana in the garden. She sat on a stone bench beneath bare branches, coffee between both hands, yellow sneakers resting against wet pavement. He rolled beside her. You left quickly last night. Tiana looked at him. You survived. That wasn't my question. You didn't ask one. Marcus almost smiled. Almost. Your father. The humor disappeared. Tiana stared into her coffee. Leon Brooks. You said he used a wheelchair. 11 years. Marcus waited. For once he did not push. Tiana noticed. My dad worked construction, she said finally. A fall damaged his spine when I was 16. Marcus said nothing. He came home 6 months later, and I decided being a good daughter meant doing everything. Her smile was faint. Everything. She buttoned his shirts before he asked. Moved his wheelchair when she thought he was tired. Finished sentences when strangers became impatient. Put food within reach. Answered questions doctors directed toward him. Marcus's expression changed. You were trying to help. I was. Tiana looked toward the trees. That's what made it harder to understand. One afternoon, Leon had been preparing breakfast. Tiana walked into the kitchen and immediately reached for a cabinet above him. Her father stopped her. Baby, she smiled. I got it. I know. Leon moved his chair backward. Did I ask? Tiana remembered feeling offended. I'm helping you. Her father had looked at her for a long time, then said the sentence she never forgot. Helping me live isn't the same as living for me. The garden became quiet. Marcus looked down at his hands. Tiana continued. I cried afterward. Why? Because I realized I had spent months loving him in a way that kept reminding him what he couldn't do. Marcus looked at her. He was angry? Sometimes. Did you deserve it? Sometimes. Marcus gave a small laugh. Tiana smiled. After that, I learned to ask. Want help? Want the door? Want me to stay? Want me to leave? Small questions. But Leon changed. Or maybe Tiana did. He started cooking again, she said. Badly. Like you. My cooking is excellent. I've eaten it. That sounds ungrateful. Marcus shook his head. Tiana's smile faded gently. My father taught me something caregivers sometimes forget. What? A person can need assistance without needing someone else to become the author of their life. Marcus went still. There it was. The reason. The coffee cup. The scattered papers. The garden door. The night on the floor. Every time Tiana waited instead of touching him, Leon Brooks was somewhere inside that decision. When did he die? Marcus asked quietly. Tiana looked down. 3 years ago. I'm sorry. Thank you. No joke followed. Marcus stared toward the fountain. After a moment, did you ever get it right? Tiana laughed softly. No, he looked at her. Nobody gets it right. She wiped beneath one eye. I just got better at listening. Marcus absorbed that. All his life, people had respected him because they feared what happened when they did not. Tiana respected him when there was absolutely nothing to fear. That felt different, cleaner, more dangerous, because Marcus was beginning to care what she thought of him. Tiana stood. Therapy. Marcus groaned. Beautiful moment ruined. My specialty. She walked toward the mansion. Marcus followed. At the terrace door, Tiana opened it and stepped aside. She did not reach for his chair. She never did. Marcus crossed the threshold himself. Later, after therapy, they returned to the kitchen. Marcus opened the refrigerator. Tiana watched. What? I'm observing history. I'm getting water. Still inspiring. Marcus slowly turned toward her. Tiana burst out laughing. He tried to remain irritated. Failed. His laugh joined hers. Daniel stopped in the hallway. Neither noticed. For the first time since the accident, Marcus was not measuring the day by what his body could or could not do. He was simply having a day. That realization frightened him more than he expected. Because Tiana's job was temporary. Caregivers were supposed to help people become less dependent on them. And Marcus was improving. His transfers were stronger. His endurance had increased. He needed fewer reminders. More of the mansion was becoming his again. That should have felt like victory. Instead, later that evening, Marcus watched Tiana pack her notebook into the chaotic canvas bag she carried every day. How long do caregivers usually stay? Tiana glanced up. Depends. On what? The person, the care plan, progress. And when the person doesn't need full-time assistance? She smiled. Then I've done my job. Marcus nodded. Tiana zipped her bag. See you tomorrow. She walked away. Marcus watched the front door close behind her. The mansion became quiet again. Not the terrible silence from 8 months earlier. Something worse. Now Marcus knew exactly what the silence was missing. He had spent months fighting to need less from everyone around him. But as Tiana Brooks disappeared beyond the gates, Marcus faced a possibility he had never prepared for. Soon, he might no longer need her as his caregiver. And for the first time since the accident, Marcus was beginning to wonder whether needing Tiana had ever been the real reason he wanted her there. Marcus Reed had spent 8 months measuring progress by how much less help he needed. Then Tiana Brooks made him realize there were some things independence could never replace. 3 weeks passed. The mansion changed quietly. Marcus changed with it. At 7:10 every morning, he rolled into the kitchen without being summoned. At 11, he attended physical therapy without argument. Mostly, he transferred more. Confidently, his upper body strength improved. He crossed the terrace alone, and Tiana stopped following 3 feet behind him. She walked beside him. That difference mattered. One Tuesday morning, Marcus entered the kitchen and found Tiana staring suspiciously at a coffee cup. What? She lifted it. You made this? Yes. Voluntarily. Marcus opened the refrigerator. I'm capable of making coffee. Tiana took a cautious sip. Her face tightened. Marcus watched. Well, she swallowed bravely. You're capable of making something. Marcus laughed. Tiana smiled into the cup. Neither mentioned how normal the moment felt. Later, Marcus discovered a box of jasmine tea inside the pantry. Tiana held it up. You bought this. The kitchen ordered too much. The kitchen has never ordered jasmine tea. Marcus continued reading. Take it up with Daniel. Tiana smiled. She knew. Marcus knew she knew. Neither said anything. The staff noticed too. Daniel noticed Marcus scheduling meetings around therapy instead of canceling therapy for meetings. The housekeeper noticed Tiana no longer prepared Marcus's breakfast because he had started doing most of it himself. Everyone noticed the laughter. But Marcus noticed smaller things. The way Tiana hummed when concentrating. The way she tucked loose curls behind one ear while reading. The way she always carried 2 pens because she lost the first one before lunch. The way the mansion felt different at 5:30 when she left. One afternoon, they went into the garden. Tiana automatically positioned herself behind Marcus. He stopped. She stopped. Marcus looked over his shoulder. What? Nothing. Then why are you standing there? Habit. Marcus turned forward. Walk with me. Tiana's expression changed. Not push me. Not help me. Walk with me. She moved beside him. Marcus pushed his wheels along the stone path while Tiana matched his pace. Winter had begun surrendering to spring. Small green shoots appeared beneath the trees. For several minutes, neither spoke. You're getting annoyingly independent. Marcus glanced at her. You sound disappointed. Professionally? Thrilled. And personally? Tiana looked ahead. That wasn't part of the question. Marcus smiled. Deflection. He recognized it now. At therapy the next day, Marcus completed a transfer with minimal assistance. The therapist checked her notes. That's significantly better. Marcus nodded. We should probably discuss reducing your home care hours soon. Tiana's face lit immediately. That's fantastic. Marcus looked at her. She meant it. Completely. His chest tightened. The therapist continued speaking about schedules, reassessment, and independence goals. Marcus heard almost none of it. Tiana did. She asked questions. Practical questions. Professional questions. Exactly the questions a good caregiver should ask when her client was improving enough to need less care. That evening, Marcus found her reorganizing her canvas bag. The same chaotic bag she had dropped on his floor her first morning. She removed old paperwork, empty sanitizer bottles, 3 pens, 1 purple sock. Marcus stared. "You still have that?" Tiana held up the sock. "It survived the interview." "So did you." "Barely." She smiled. Marcus did not. Tiana noticed. "What's wrong?" "Nothing." That expression usually means someone is about to lose their job. Marcus looked at the bag. "When they reduce your hours, what happens?" "I come less. I understand mathematics." "Congratulations." "Tiana." Her smile faded. "I'll probably take another client." Another client. Marcus disliked those words immediately. Someone else would hear her terrible jokes. Someone else would see the yellow sneakers. Someone else would learn that asking for help did not have to feel like surrender. Marcus's voice became colder than he intended. "Of course." Tiana studied him. "You're supposed to be happy." "I am." "No, you're not." Marcus looked away. Tiana zipped the bag. "Marcus, this was always the goal." "What was?" "You needing less of me." Silence. He had no argument. She was right. 8 months ago, Marcus would have given anything to need less assistance. Now the possibility felt strangely like losing something. At 5:31, Tiana lifted her bag. "Tomorrow." Marcus nodded. 11. "Therapy." "I know." She headed toward the foyer. "Tiana." She turned. Marcus almost asked her to stay for dinner. The words reached his throat. Stopped. "Nothing." Tiana watched him for a moment, then smiled gently. "See you tomorrow, Marcus." The door closed. Marcus remained alone in the kitchen. 2 coffee cups sat near the sink. One black, one stained faintly with jasmine tea. He stared at them. For months, Tiana had taught him that needing help did not make him weak. Now Marcus was facing a harder lesson. Wanting someone was not the same as needing them. And if he could not understand that difference soon, Tiana Brooks might finish the job she had been hired to do, and walk out of his life believing there was no reason left to stay. Marcus Reed had spent 8 months waiting to hear that he no longer needed full-time care. When the doctor finally said it, the victory felt strangely like goodbye. Friday, 2:16 p.m. Sunlight stretched across the rehabilitation room. Marcus sat beside the therapy table while Dr. Ellis reviewed his assessment. Tiana stood near the window with her notebook pressed against her chest. "You've made excellent progress," Dr. Ellis said. Marcus nodded. His transfers were safer, his endurance stronger. He could manage most daily routines independently. The paralysis had not magically disappeared. That had never been the promise. Progress meant something quieter. More control. More confidence. More of his day belonging to him. Dr. Ellis closed the folder. "I don't think you require full-time home care assistance anymore." Tiana's face lit up. Marcus's did not. "That's fantastic." He looked at her. She was smiling. Actually smiling. Dr. Ellis continued. "We can reduce support gradually. A few scheduled visits each week, then reassess." Tiana turned toward Marcus. "You did it." Marcus held her gaze. "We did." Her smile softened. But then she said the words he had been dreading. "You don't need me anymore." Silence. Marcus's fingers tightened around the wheel rim. "That was the goal, remember?" He remembered. He hated remembering. Tiana spent the afternoon doing what professionals did when an assignment was ending. She updated medication notes, reviewed emergency contacts, organized schedules, removed personal things that had quietly accumulated around the mansion, a jasmine tea tin, her ridiculous collection of pens. The mug Daniel had bought her after she complained that every cup in the mansion looked emotionally unavailable. Marcus watched from the kitchen doorway. "What are you doing?" "Cleaning." "You don't clean." "Exactly." Historic day. She placed the mug inside her canvas bag. Marcus stared at it. "You can leave that." Tiana paused. "Why?" He had no answer that did not reveal too much. For whoever replaces you. Tiana looked at him. No one is replacing me. The sentence landed harder. Marcus turned away. At 5:12, Tiana carried a small box toward the foyer. Marcus followed. You're taking everything today? Not everything. She lifted the purple sock. This apparently lives here now. Marcus almost smiled. Almost. When does the new schedule start? Monday. How many hours? 3 visits next week. 3. A week. Marcus had grown accustomed to hearing her every day. Her terrible humming. Her arguments. Her laughter moving through rooms that had once sounded like a mausoleum. 3 visits. That's efficient, he said. Tiana studied him. You're doing that thing again. What thing? Pretending you don't care about something because caring makes you uncomfortable. Marcus's eyes hardened. You analyze all your employers? Only the exhausting ones. Tiana. She set the box down. What? Marcus looked toward the open garden doors. For months, she had asked him what he wanted. Now the answer terrified him. He wanted her to stay. Not because he needed medication reminders. Not because transfers were difficult. Not because she knew his schedule. He wanted her sitting across from him drinking jasmine tea. He wanted yellow sneakers in the hallway. He wanted someone who argued with Marcus Reed instead of fearing him. But there was a problem. Tiana was his employee. Marcus had spent 8 months learning that power could steal choice even when disguised as kindness. He would not use money to trap her. Would not double her salary. Would not invent medical needs. Would not turn affection into another form of control. So that's it? He asked. Tiana's expression softened. That's what success looks like. Doesn't feel like it. The words escaped before Marcus could stop them. Tiana froze. Their eyes met. For one suspended moment, the mansion seemed to hold its breath. Then Tiana looked down. I should go. Marcus could have stopped her. One command. One offer. One phone call changing the care arrangement. The old Marcus would have solved the problem with authority. Instead, he moved aside. Tiana picked up her box. At the front door, she turned. Monday at 10? Marcus nodded. 10. She smiled. Try not to fire anyone before then. No promises. The door closed. Marcus remained in the foyer. On the console table sat the purple sock. He picked it up. Ridiculous. Bright. Completely out of place in his carefully controlled mansion. Exactly like Tiana. Daniel appeared from the hallway. You could ask her to stay. Marcus looked at him. As what? Daniel said nothing. That was the question. Caregiver? Employee? Friend? Something neither of them had been brave enough to name? Marcus looked toward the closed door. For 8 months, he had fought everyone who tried to decide what was best for him. Now he understood the responsibility hidden inside that freedom. If he wanted Tiana in his life, he could not use his power to decide for her either. Monday would be one of her final scheduled visits. Soon the caregiver bag would disappear. The yellow sneakers would stop crossing his marble floors. And Marcus Reed, a man who had once believed independence meant needing nobody, finally understood the difference between dependence and desire. He did not need Tiana Brooks anymore. That was exactly why whatever he asked of her next would have to be something she was completely free to refuse. On Tiana Brooks's final day as his full-time caregiver, Marcus Reed understood something power had never taught him. If someone is not free to leave, their decision to stay means nothing. Monday, 4:47 p.m. The mansion was unusually quiet. Tiana stood at the kitchen island packing the last of her belongings into the battered canvas bag that had exploded across Marcus's marble floor weeks earlier. Notebook, pens, jasmine tea, hand sanitizer. She found the purple sock. Waiting beside her mug, Tiana laughed. Seriously? Marcus sat several feet away. It belongs to you. I thought it had become part of the estate. It lowers the property value. She placed it inside her bag. Marcus watched. Today she wore blue sneakers. He hated them, not because they were ugly, because he knew he would remember them. Tiana zipped the bag. That's everything. Marcus looked around. Nothing had changed. And yet the kitchen already felt emptier. So, Tiana rested both hands against the counter. You survived me. Barely. I'll expect a glowing recommendation. I'll mention chronic lateness. 3 minutes. Still late. She smiled. Marcus did too. Then silence arrived. Not awkward. Heavy. Tiana lifted the strap of her bag. I should go. Marcus's smile disappeared. This was the moment. He had spent the weekend considering every possible solution. Increase her salary. Create another position. Extend the care contract. Offer enough money that leaving would feel foolish. Every solution sounded like Marcus Reed. Powerful. Efficient. Wrong. Tiana. She turned. I need to say something. Her expression softened. That sounds dangerous. It probably is. Marcus rolled closer. Not too close. He wanted space between them. Enough for choice. You were hired because I needed help. Tiana said nothing. I hated that. I noticed. Marcus almost smiled. I thought independence meant proving I didn't need anyone. His hands rested against the wheels. You taught me otherwise. Tiana's eyes grew glossy. Marcus continued. You never treated this chair like it made me smaller. Because it doesn't. I know that now. A beat. And you never made decisions for me just because helping would have been easier than asking. Tiana looked down. Your father taught you that. He did. You taught me. Her eyes returned to his. The room went still. Marcus swallowed. I don't need you as my caregiver anymore. Tiana nodded. I know. And I'm not extending your contract. Something flickered across her face. Marcus noticed. Hope? Disappointment? He could not tell. Good. For once, he would not assume. I'm also not offering you another job. Tiana folded her arms. This is becoming a very strange goodbye. It isn't a goodbye. She froze. Marcus's voice lowered. At least I don't want it to be. Silence. Outside, afternoon sunlight stretched across the garden. Tiana stared at him. Marcus. I want to have dinner with you. She blinked. We've had dinner. No, Marcus shook his head. You prepared meals. You reminded me to eat. Occasionally you insulted my coffee while eating my food. Your coffee deserves accountability. This would be different. Tiana understood. Her lips parted slightly. Are you asking me on a date? Marcus exhaled. Apparently paralysis has not improved my flirting. Tiana laughed. The sound filled the kitchen. Marcus waited. No command. No offer she could not refuse. Just a question. Finally, Tiana smiled. Friday. Marcus's chest loosened. 7. 7:15. 7. 7:10. Tiana. 7. He smiled. Good. Friday. 7:03 p.m. The doorbell rang. Marcus crossed the foyer himself. No Daniel. No staff member opening the door ahead of him. He reached it, turned the handle and pulled. Tiana stood outside. No medical bag. No notebook. No caregiver clothes. A deep green dress. Natural curls resting over her shoulders. And, beneath the dress, yellow sneakers. Marcus stared downward. You cannot be serious. Tiana looked innocent. What? The shoes. You missed them. I absolutely did not. You're smiling. Marcus realized he was. Tiana smiled back. You're late. She checked her phone. 3 minutes. Tradition. Exactly. Marcus moved aside. Tiana did not immediately enter. For a second, they simply looked at each other. The first morning she came to this mansion, she had entered because she was being paid to help him. Tonight there was no contract, no medical schedule, no obligation, only a choice. Marcus gestured toward the hallway. Dinner. Tiana stepped across the threshold. Dinner. He closed the door behind her. Later, they moved toward the dining room together. Tiana walked beside him. Not behind. Marcus rolled beside her. Not ahead. At the doorway, she looked down. You know, your coffee is still terrible. I thought this was a date. It is. Then behave. Your Majesty? Marcus stopped. Tiana grinned. He laughed. The mansion heard it. So did the staff. But nobody stopped to stare anymore. They had grown used to the sound. Marcus Reed had once believed recovery meant becoming exactly the man he had been before the accident. He was wrong. He never walked again. There was no miracle hidden in Tiana's hands. She had not repaired his body. She had done something far more human. She reminded him that his dignity had never disappeared with his mobility. And Marcus had given something back. He had learned to see Tiana not as the woman hired to care for him, but as a woman whose choices deserved the same respect she had always given his. At the dining table, Marcus pulled out the chair beside him. Tiana sat. 2 plates, 2 glasses, no clipboard, no care plan. Marcus looked at her. Still think you failed the interview? Tiana smiled. Completely. Good. Why? Marcus held her eyes. Because I'm glad this became something you were never hired to do. The room went quiet. Tiana reached across the table. Not to help him. Not because he needed anything. She simply placed her hand over his. Marcus looked down, then back at her. And that night, the world inside one quiet mansion remembered something power, injury, fear, and pity had almost erased. Dignity is not the ability to stand. Sometimes, dignity is being given the freedom to choose who gets to walk beside you.